And he actually founded his own brokerage back in 2016 from his basement. Love to talk about that. And since then has grown his brokerage from himself and his partner to nearly 100 agents and does over 300 million in annual sales volume.
This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it, all tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Agent Goldmine with your hosts, Shelby Johnson and Allie Garcet here for another freaking awesome episode. Today we have Alan Stewart Jr. in the house. He is out of Fairfield and New Haven, Connecticut, has been an agent for 8 years. And he actually founded his own brokerage back in 2016 from his basement. Love to talk about that. And since then has grown his brokerage from himself and his partner to nearly 100 agents and does over 300 million in annual sales volume. So we are so excited to talk to you today. Alan, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Dude, so you're from Connecticut. At what point? Okay, so you got your license 8 years ago. At what point did you decide to create your own brokerage?
Pretty much immediately.
Why? Oh, immediately.
Pretty much immediately. Yeah, actually, yeah, immediately. And, I'm still on the fence of whether it's something that I want to do or what I want to be when I grow up, to be completely honest. But yeah, no, I created my brokerage immediately. Actually, within 5 months, you're in Connecticut, you're not allowed to become a broker within 2 years or 20 transactions under your belt. But what I did is I went and I found a retired broker of record and I offered her a salary annually to hang my license under, because I wanted to leave my original mentor, not because he wasn't a great mentor, but because there was just a lot of micromanaging going on. And I had two options: go to a big firm or just create my own culture.
You were under a mentor for like a hot minute, and then you were like, I want to start my own brokerage. Did you have the vision of I want 100 agents and 300 million in annual sales volume from the beginning? Or were you just, I want to be my own human, therefore I'm my own brokerage?
Yeah. So I had a child on the way. The best thing that ever happened in my life. He was unexpected, but he's 7 now. His name is Alan. I'm his baseball coach. I love it. Oh my God. I got financial freedom of schedule to serve him, and I help a lot of people. But no, in the beginning, I just wanted to, when I found out I had a child on the way, it was really important for me to be able to provide for that child, because I wanted to give him a better life than I had growing up. And I knew under the current micromanagement system that I had, I was, as to quote the other guys, I'm a peacock captain. I got to fly. You guys know that movie or no?
Not even a little bit.
But we can pretend.
It's a great movie, though.
It's a great line.
Movie.
Yep.
It's a great movie. Peacocks don't even fly, but that's what makes it a great quote. So I just knew I needed to fly. So I knew I needed to go off on my own. And me and my partner, we found a broker of record, and we just said, hey, listen, we're going to give you 50 grand for the next 2 years. All I need you to do is take on the liability. And we had a dream that we would rather have 10 agents that do 100 deals a year than 100 agents that do 10 deals a year, right? Because that's the ladder is usually the way that most real estate goes. And we've grown up to 100 agents, but I'm happy to say that last year we were number 4 in the state in terms of units sold per agent. So our agents are producing agents. They're not just
not just slugs. Okay. Well, question. So it's you and your partner, and you had this broker that you paid the 50 grand a year, but you're still a new agent. So how did you build your business in the beginning?
I think, so we were on the last podcast together. I shared with you a little bit. Like, I did start calling my friends and family, but because they knew me as my last lifestyle, they weren't too receptive. They weren't too welcoming me with open arms, saying, hey, I want to be your guinea pig. And I feel like a lot of real estate agents go through that. So, a lot of people may not be too excited about this. I did a lot of cold calling, and I bought a lot of leads, and I converted a lot of those. And then I mastered turning leads into referrals, into a referral-based business.
Well, I was just curious about building the business. Because, yeah, I do remember you mentioned you were in, I think you were selling, what was it? Supplements? You were like a fitness dude selling supplements.
Yeah.
And they were like, why would I trust you with my house?
Exactly. Yeah, no, before this, I got introduced to sales. I was a sales rep for a national fitness firm. And what my original job was to hand out passes on the side of the street in the financial district of Stamford, Connecticut. People have been there for years. These guys in suits would walk by, get a real job, spit at your feet, crumple up the pass, throw it back at you. So I really quickly had to become charismatic and make a lasting impression that was different than anybody else in the past in order for them to even take the pass, but then to go into the facility. So I got really good at that. I grew in that really, really quickly to the point where I was going to be executive vice president within a year or so. But then I realized it's not what I want to do. I don't want to do this for a living. I don't want to work behind this desk for a living. So that's when I met my partner. I sold him a gym membership. He called me, and he does mortgages, and was like, "You need to work for me." And I was like, "I don't want to trade my desk for yours." So I'll introduce you to somebody else. He introduced me to my first mentor, which was in real estate. I quit my job almost immediately. Had no income. And while I was going through real estate school, that leads to what Shelby was talking about. I started selling supplements online because it was synergetic with selling gym memberships. And I was doing it while I was at the gym as well as a secondary source of income. And it's just, I was posting videos like crazy online. And so that transition to go from the supplement salesman to the real estate professional. I mean, why would anybody, they're like, you were just selling $30 supplements. Now you want to sell me a $500,000 house? That doesn't make too much sense to me. My whole marketing strategy switched up online like almost overnight.
Dang. Okay. So then you got your sphere from cold calling, purchasing leads, and then that's what gave you the background in order to create your own brokerage. So
yeah,
because you said that your previous brokerage had some micromanaging, how is your brokerage different? What are your values, I guess, your culture, your office culture in the brokerage?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, culture is everything, because a company, I believe, so I don't just own the brokerage. I own a development company and an insurance firm too. So we do a little bit of everything. My partners own a pretty big lending firm. So we touch every vertical within this industry. And what I always say to people when they onboard with me, first of all, I interview agents. I don't just take them on. I don't want a revolving door. Retention is very important to me. And because a company is not made up of its assets and liabilities, meaning like its tables, its vibe boards, its revenue and expenses, that is a part of it. But a company is made up of its people, and its people make up its culture. So how do we form a culture? I interview my agents when they come in, and the first thing I do is I talk to them about my values and my belief system, and give them examples, because I want to make sure that they align with those values and beliefs. And then I have an acronym that I go through of what's most important to me in an agent. And everybody raises their hand because they're like, "Oh my God, I want to be famous on social media, or I want to be a millionaire," or whatever it is. And I make them give me examples of how they adhere to those characteristics. And, if you're curious, I can go through them with you, but it's,
yes,
it's a little bit elongated.
I was going to say role play. Allie, yes.
Alan, I love role playing.
Awesome.
Okay, pretend I found you from back, I don't know, whatever. Actually, that's the question. How are you finding the agents? Or how are the agents finding you?
So we do attraction rather than promotion. We're pretty relevant on social media. I got my creative genius, Alex Dominguez, right over here. Alex shoots video. If you guys shoot him a follow, you'll see he's the man with the plan behind a lot of our marketing and manages our whole marketing department. But before that, the marketing department was, as Shelby knows from the last thing, was this, was selfies. But so we do a lot of social media. I'm very involved with the association, and I make sure that my realtors are as well, whether they're local boards, state boards, National Hispanic Association of Realtors, Rotarians, right? But sticking with the boards, that's how the agents are aware of us. They usually enter into our top of funnel somewhere on the social media aspect of it. And then usually Alex coined a term that him and I use often, the deals in the DM. So if we can get them in the DM, then all of a sudden the next logical step is how do we set the appointment? And once we set the appointment, then I can start going through our value proposition and my expectations.
So you got them in the top of funnel and you're sliding in their DMs. Can you go through what that conversation actually looks like?
Yeah. So, a lot of times it's them either sliding in our DMs, or it could be us sliding in theirs, whether it's the people who are managing the social media. We do a lot of likes and comments on other agents' things. We make sure we share them, to to enhance their status as well. They don't have to be part of our brokerage in order for us to support them. I tell people when they onboard or offboard from my firm, I don't need to make money off you in order to love and support you. I truly believe that it's a co-broke relationship. It's a frenzy business. If your friends are buying, my friends are buying. So let's all succeed together. Rising tide lifts all boats. So someone initiates the conversation, and typically what we talk about is something that's not real estate related at all. We invite them to an event, whether it's an event that we're throwing or it's a third-party event like an association event or some type of networking event. And they show up to that and they get to know us first, because that, we don't want to, you don't want me on your podcast, even no matter how successful I am. But if I'm like, you don't want me, right? Am I wrong or no?
No, you're right.
Yeah. We almost consider not having you on.
Alan. Right, exactly. You're testing the limits here.
Yeah. No, you guys are probably going to record this and not even post it. It's all good.
We lost the footage.
So the deal's in the DM. We start exchanging. We build that rapport there because traditionally people in society right now, even agents, which is a shame. I train the agents a little differently. They don't like to pick up the phone and talk to the other agents, just like they don't want to talk to us about recruiting. And honestly, I'm not here to recruit. I'm here to attract like-minded people with similar values, similar characteristics. And if they're interested, then I'll bring them in from, I call it a steal, right? And I actually call it the steal from my fitness industry, because I realized quickly when I was bringing people in off the streets with the passes, the 3-day passes, I would tour them around the facility. I would find out their goals and I'd set them on a steal. I would call it no steal, no deal. Meaning if I didn't put them on a piece of equipment, most likely they would not sign up. But if I put them on a piece of equipment that aligned with their goals, a lot of times they would end up buying a membership right then and there. So I bring them for a walkthrough and I show them all the different departments and value propositions that I have as a broker and how I can support them achieve their goals. And a lot of times that piques their interest. And then when their interest is piqued, then I'll go over my characteristics that I'm looking for. And we'll either decide to go into business with each other or we won't.
Can we go back to that conversation about the social media? Elaborate more on that. Pretend I'm the agent that slid into your DMs. I'm like, dude, Alan's kind of killing it. I'm at a brokerage right now. I'm doing okay, but I want to do better. What is your process for that? Thank you for listening. Out of respect for your time, we want to make this show as valuable as possible for you. So if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please let us know. DM us at Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show.
Yeah, no, awesome. So a lot of times, usually what we're doing is we're starting with just a casual conversation. I'm coming from a place of service, talking to them about whatever it is that we're talking about. But if you want advice from me, I will typically just go immediately finding the pain points. For example, I was sitting with an agent yesterday and he's a highly successful agent. He's at one of the big, firms. He's got a team. I think it's a team of only 6 or 7 people, but he's number 1 market share in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I met up with him and I'm not even talking to him about recruiting. I'm just trying to provide value in his life. And he's saying, Alan, you started significantly after me. You've been able to not just grow as an individual agent and be one of the top producers in the country, but then you grew a team that was larger than mine and a brokerage and these other things. And he just threw a label on it. I want to learn systems like you. So then when I meet up with them, I say, okay, well, and I just got a white piece of paper out and I started talking to them. I said, well, what type of systems are you trying to learn? Because honestly, that's just a buzzword. And there's all different types of systems. I said, are we talking sales systems, administration systems, recruiting systems? Even in recruiting systems, are we talking attraction? Are we talking onboarding? Are we talking post-onboarding? Are we talking about departure systems, standard operating procedures when they leave? And I said, we need to get really specific. And usually, to answer your part, Allie, is usually when I hit them with that there are so many facets and it can get so intricate. By then, I've sparked their interest to saying, wow, Alan's really an authority figure. And I was just thinking systems in general. I didn't even realize that there can be a mass amount of systems in my business, in so many different verticals in my business, to make my business efficient, that I don't even know what I don't know. So maybe he's somebody worth being around more. And if they want to have that conversation, then I'll have that conversation with them. If they don't, that's fine. They can, come to a speaking event or a networking party and we can just hang out.
What are all these parties? You guys are having a lot of parties. Okay, you keep saying parties.
We
Let's talk about them.
Parties. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, where? I'm coming.
So I believe that like being a real estate agent, it's not a job, it's not a career, it's a lifestyle. It literally is. You need to be partially mentally insane to live this lifestyle. Am I wrong in that or no?
No, I mean,
You're
Allie's batshit crazy. So
I went off the deep end.
That's right. And that's probably why you're super successful, right? But I do believe that it's a lifestyle, right? So we need to give that lifestyle. People become real estate agents because they want financial freedom, they want freedom of schedule, and they want to serve people, right? But it's the allure of it all. So, we do a lot of attraction. The last party, we had a Halloween party with one of our affiliates in the back of our building that our corporate headquarters is at. Set up a tent. There were heaters there. We had food trucks. We had one local famous DJ come by, ice luges, bartender, and we just throw a banger. And people stayed there. The police get called. They showed up. That's just one of the crazy ones. We have more formal ones too, but we do everything. I think our next party is more of a subtle one. We're going to do an ugly Christmas sweater party that we do every single year because every agent's a little different. So some of them don't want to participate in those more extravagant parties. They want the more familiar parties where maybe they can bring kids to or something like that, right? But those are up there because those allow me to cultivate many different microcultures within an agency, and everybody can find their niche in their little group. And those are great platforms for me to invite other people that are within our industry, whether or not they get into businesses or not, because honestly, I just want to grow our business. So in order to do that, I need to talk with more people and transact with more people.
So to recap, it's top of the funnel. We have social media, in-person events, Chamber of Commerce or whatever. They come in, maybe they slide into your DMs, maybe they don't. You invite them to a party. They come to the party of their choice. And eventually, whether that's the party or whether that's through the DM, you open up a conversation about their business just by asking authentic questions. You eventually identify pain points within their business and then show them solutions that you have within yours. Did I get the funnel right?
Yeah, but I think it's important to note that there's not just one type of funnel. Everything is a funnel. There's many different silos. Some of people it's events, some people it's one-on-one, some people it's neither, right? It's really the structure of what it is. And all of it is very intentional, but it's not like the motive right away, I guess, so to speak. Like, we don't post on Instagram just to get agents. We post to share who we are, our values, our culture, our systems, our processes. It just so happens that's one lead funnel that we get for clients and real estate professionals.
I want to talk about onboarding. After you have vetted the right agent, you guys are going to be working well together. They've passed your vibe check, What does onboarding look like and how long is it?
That's awesome. We call it a culture check. So yeah, we're right there. I should call it a vibe check. I like that name. So you got a vibe.
Take it.
I like the vibe check, maybe. So I designed our onboarding process many years ago, and we continue to enhance it. For me to go into it in detail would be complicated. I'm not the one that manages it right now. My vice president, Jen Esposito, manages it. But really, the initial meeting would be through a Calendly with her. She'll go over a lot of what the transition process looks like for them. By them, they're already bought in. We've already negotiated out our terms, and she's going to go over, they've been sent a letter of engagement at that point, which they've signed, which is different than our independent operating agreement. She'll go over, hey, if you want to do this.
Sorry, no. Yeah, it's not you. It's us. We're the problem. Yeah. Go on, Alan. You're great.
You guys are DMing each other about
No, Alan. Okay, we
talking trash over there.
At all.
This time, all right. I don't care if it is. Honestly, if you're going to post a lot on social media, you're going to get a lot of trash talk. But so I'm used to it.
I feel like I have to explain this. No, I was taking notes of what future questions that I wanted to ask, and Shelby's like rearranging the whole page, and she's sorry. I'm like, I don't know where nose has sweat. So I was like, I love this whiplash, Shelby. Okay. Anyway, Alan, back to you.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is like, so here, how about this? I'd like to say this. A lot of those things are the boring things about business. When I get into the intricate details about specific systems, specific processes. And what I mean by that is everybody wants to own a business and they want to be an entrepreneur and a top producer. And everybody especially in sales industries, like they want to show up in the Lambo or Ferrari or Range Rover or have the nice watches or whatever it is, right? But very few people want to sit there in the dark and intricately design like, okay, an if-then sequence. If someone says yes, then what is the next logical step? And create that checklist. Or very few people want to sit on 12 different webinars to interview what is the best payment software so that we can structure our commission and override structures appropriately, right? So, and I love that stuff because that is the scalability. That's not, and that's what I'm into. But, that's the stuff I feel bad for you guys because that doesn't make for a good podcast. Because I could sit here, I do that stuff all the time. And my creative genius right here, he's like, Alan, you're boring out of people. Like,
we actually love that stuff. So we recently went to a Pillars retreat where a bunch of us from all their country were in one Airbnb together for the 4 days. And one of the things that we did was actually design our workflow, which is one of the things that you were just talking about. It's if then, and it's for each process in your business, dedicating the time to think through what is the actual workflow and what are the triggers, and within each trigger, what happens next, who is doing it, and what are the steps for that. So, dude, you're talking to the right people.
I love it.
For that.
I love it. Well, it's funny because, a lot of, and whether you're following business entrepreneurs, successful ones that write books, or whether they're real estate entrepreneurs, like they'll read, most of them won't read the book. Most of them will buy the book and it will be a paperweight, right? Then the ones that read the book won't read it more than once, or they won't implement any of it. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that are important. So I do want to say one thing. Next time you have some type of national mastermind, all right, I want you guys to invite me to it because I want to go to something like that. I love to nerd out on things like that. And, that would be amazing. Unless it's a girls only thing.
No, it's a pillars only thing. So you have to drink the Kool-Aid. There's a ceremony. There's a tattoo on your ass. All of it's a requirement.
I'll put it right next to the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, and I'm not to hijack your body. What is pillars? What is pillars?
Pillar? What? No, just kidding. So Five Pillars Nation is the community. Yeah, we are pillars. That's
I know what it is.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I read up on it before our last podcast.
Dude, I love you. Do your homework. You're good at that. Okay. Question though. So right now, in the beginning, before, when you submitted your homework, you said one of your things within your business that you have most on lock is delegating administrative work so you can focus more on top of the funnel activities. And Allie and I we love delegation. We love leverage. So we're curious about what type of delegation leverage, whether it be human or technology, that you have within your business that is most impactful.
So scalable business, duplication, and then delegation. And I feel like a lot of people try to delegate before they can duplicate. And what I mean by duplicate is just creating that duplicatable process, right? That white, whether it's a white glove experience or a brown glove experience, and your process sucks, as long as it's duplicatable. And in order for us to do that, it's sitting down and doing those nerdy things that we're talking about at the 5 Pillar at Kool-Aid event, right? Because we need to sit down and say, what does this process look like? And record it. And it doesn't need to be sophisticated and go to technology right away. I think a lot of times we reach out to technology like this is going to fix everything. Like one of the biggest buzzwords right now is ChatGPT, everybody, oh my God, this thing can, and then everybody says, write your listings. But then we're looking for this thing to solve us. How about just taking out a white piece of paper and let's go through an if-then sequence of the process in general. And then what are your steps? What are your micro steps in between each macro stage in the process What does your welcome email look like? It depends what we're delegating. If we're talking about administrative for contracts, right? What does your congratulations email look like? How can we save it as a template? And let's start with simple things like that, because let's utilize the technology that you are currently using, because then I can delegate it to administrative assistants, because you delegate, again, like you said, perfectly through software or individuals. Then I can delegate it through the individual. And then that frees up my time where I'm either spending more time getting clients or then finding those better technologies. So then I can have the administrative assistant train themselves on it so we can increase efficiency, right? But I think that, to recap really quickly, if you're a single agent right now, and let's say your production, in my mind, is 3 or 4 million, unless you're really hitting that in your first year, I would say it's not till like around 6 million where I start telling people, okay, let's start getting administrative processes, not process in place. Let's get an administrative assistant and bring you up over 11, right? Because just that little tweak, if you dedicate the newfound time to top of funnel activity, now we can increase your business. But in order for you, even honestly, to get from that 3 to 6, we just need to start creating those templates, or getting you more familiar with calendar invites, or the basics. Before you even delegate it, let's make it so it's duplicatable. So that way, when you do onboard somebody and you don't do it prematurely, you have something that you can hand over to them. Because a lot of people, again, going back to my ChatGPT reference, they're just like, I'm going to onboard someone, and then they onboard and they're like, all right, we'll just figure it out. I mean, I expect you to know, I got to go sell these houses now,
It does. I want to go personal though, Alan. I want to know about you and your business. So right now, I believe, if the stats that I saw are correctly remembered in my brain, you closed 30 last year, but you also have this brokerage with 100 agents and you're closing 300 million annually. I'm curious about you. You are the broker owner. I believe you're a partner, but what does the leverage within your life look like? Do you have a personal assistant? Do you have an operations manager who oversees what does that look like for you?
Okay. You ready for the spider web? Because it's going to.
I do. I want it. We both want it.
You
Yes.
think I should go through these? He goes, oh God. This is like my man.
If you have a chart, you can share your screen, and
Actually,
I'm like half kidding.
Yeah. I just empty it. All right. Awesome. So let's take it down on such a micro level. Where did it all start? So yes, I do have an administrative assistant that works with my personal closed book of business. I only close around $10 million in personal business a year, and the rest of it I farm out to my team that is underneath my brokerage. I have a team of about 13 agents that work off of my personal book of business and their own personal book of business as well. Collectively, they close a little over $50 million. That team utilizes my administrative assistant as well. It's one of my value propositions to retain them on my team, not in my brokerage. And one of the value propositions is not just the person, but the system that the person can manage. Now, the team also has an an operations manager that helps with the calendar invites, setting up the team events. She's also very good at graphic design, and she manages our video editor as well, right? I'm in my team office right now. The last office I did with you, I was in my corporate headquarters. So that's my team, like just my team right there. I also delegate the running of the team to my now partner, who was my first and lead agent, Thomas Cody. So he helps make sure, that he reports the numbers to me by using our operations manager. What are our 12-month rolling averages per person and as a unit? So that's one report that I get. Another report that I get is, what is our pending pipeline? So I've looked at the past, now I'm looking at the present, right? And then during the team meeting, we talk about our future. How many calls, contacts, and appointments have you set in the last week? Have you locked any contracts in the last week? Because that's what your future looks like. So those are the delegations that I have in the team. And if you want, I can keep going beyond that.
I'm curious about the rest as well. Because, okay, that makes sense. That's your real estate team, where you have the administrative assistant, you have the team members who are working as a traditional, most people understand how teams work. the operations, and then you've replaced yourself as essentially the team leader because you have someone who is running the team and you are just overseeing it, it sounds like. So what else within your business, what else you got going on, Alan? Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that.
Awesome. So yeah, I had that team, and think of the team as like a farm league for the rest of the businesses where we like beta test the systems, the processes, the cultivating the talent, things like that. Then from there, I have more complexities in the brokerage because the brokerage has more actual employees. So inside the brokerage, I have my vice president, who's like my right hand. And I call her the goalie. I mean, nothing gets past Jen. She is literally, anything that has to do with the MLS, the boards, she does not run compliance, but she reports it all up to me as the CEO, right? And then she's got a team as well. Like I've got my head of marketing and development, who's right by my side right here. That's Alex Dominguez, right? He's not only, he entered into our business as mainly really good at the camera and then editing, but now he helps with the different types of interviews that we do with the softwares to give value propositions to the agents so they have more disposable marketing at their fingertips. And then underneath Alex, he has multiple employees, whether they're video editors or graphic designers, so we can turn over video on behalf of our agents much quicker, right? Because that's one of our value propositions for the agent, but it's also one of our recruiting tools because when we have such omnipresence, meaning not just me, the agents on our behalf, that they're basically locally famous. And the more locally famous they are, the more other agents see that and say, well, I want to be the mayor of my town or my community or my database. So that's another value proposition. And that's just one department inside the brokerage. Underneath Jen, we have the administrative positions. And we have several administrative people, whether it's just normal administration and we're collecting checks, and we have systems and processes for everything, to collecting checks, paying out commission, and doing reporting. I have other administrative assistants that do where I give to my top producers their own personal administrative for their contract to close book of business. I also have compliance administration where all they do, because we're locking, anywhere from like 150 to 200 contracts a month. So we're constantly combing through and looking at compliance because high performing salespeople are not typically the most organized people. So they need that support. And I need to protect our license, because if it's not buttoned up, not only am I liable, but also we're coming across as unprofessional. And if I'm coming across unprofessional, nobody wants to work for a small independent startup brokerage if that's the image that I have. Inside the administration as well, we also have like just a regular office admin, and she helps us with the calendar, the training invites, the events that I was talking about, helping plan those, source pricing, those of that nature. And then on top of that, again, he told me unload the clip. So on top of that, I have the recruiting department, right? Because it's gotten too big and we have too many agents coming in and inquiring about it where I can't be that guy anymore. So I had to create a duplicatable process and then delegate that to another person. So I don't even really have a recruiter. I call him the head of talent acquisition, because what we do is he takes them through on the steel. He asks them the questions, and if he thinks that they're worthy, he'll set up the second interview to sit with me. And then I'll go through the characters and the values, because production isn't just the only thing that I want. I've had plenty of agents here that produce that I've had to let go because, they just don't align with the future of what we're trying to do. And I'd rather stay true to my characters and values than sell my soul for money. So
Thank you so much for that. Oh, yeah. Is there more? Keep going.
No, I know there's more, but it's like, because then we have all those same different departments in the development company and in the insurance company as well.
Oh, but yeah, we don't care about that.
Yeah, you don't care about those unless you want to send us some insurance. That's all.
Alan, what do you do? Because you got all these people doing shit. You're not doing shit, are you? I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. Ali actually has a question. So Ali, you go.
Well, I do want to answer that though, because because honestly, listen, when you start to do, that's what people's perception is. And all of a sudden, but I do more than everybody else, to be honest. It's just, my work looks way different than it did when I was a sales agent, because back then I was getting paid to do for a living. Right now, I get paid to decide for a living, right? My value proposition right now is I'm the decision maker. And eventually I want to get paid to just think for a living. And that just means just a thought leader to advise and things like that. And someone else is deciding, I'm just consulting. And that's the hierarchy. And then maybe get to the point where I ain't doing.
Hey, you're just attending all these parties.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about the team splits. So you have, from my understanding, you have the agents that some of the agents run your personal book of business. You also mentioned that some of the top producers have their own admin. Do they have the same team split, or is it different?
So in regards to the team splits, just like any individual's commission, it's all autonomous. Now, am I the advisor and an influencer over how I believe that maybe they should structure their team? Yeah, most likely, because I've had the team the longest, and also we produced a lot. They produce a lot as well. Don't want to downplay that, but Gary Keller, I was at Keller Williams for a minute, and that guy's very smart. I've read a couple of his books, probably MREA, I've read 13 times. The One Thing I've read at least 9 times. So he puts out some content that's definitely worth it. And he has a saying that when I met him, and he was talking about big hat, no cattle. He's from Texas, right? And in regards to teams in the industry, a lot of them want a big hat, but they really don't have the cattle. And the split is the cattle, right? Like, I could easily tomorrow, if I wanted to, I'd go out there and have a 100-person team or a 20 or 30-person team. But if they're not producing and I'm not creating value in their life, and we're not all feeding the machine together and the machine doesn't feed us back, then there's really no point. So I didn't really directly answer your question, because there is no direct answer. I'm not the arbiter of their affairs, where I'm not going to control their splits as long as they're not outrageous and they're not going to supersede what I would be giving as an independent agent on the brokerage. Because typically people join teams because they want a more intimate experience or more intimate mentorship or extra assistance. So typically that means a reduced commission split for that added value. Did I answer that, or did I just smoke show you real quick?
You somewhat answered it. Yeah. So are the team splits different per agent depending on how much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's based on production, usually on tiers. We're more your traditional model. Like, we don't have the cap models, and those work great in certain areas. But typically I've found, sometimes we lose agents to cap models and things like that, because we have brokers in the area that will offer 100% cap for 6 months in order to solicit our producing agents over to their brokerage. But then typically what ends up happening is they give that, but then they can't afford to give the value at the same time. So then the agent ends up hitting his production ceiling. He uses them for that short period of time for their cap model. And then they end up saying, well, I can't scale my business past 8 million or 6 million. And you'll see consecutive years of the same production. And I don't know, I've never met a body of people other than real estate agents that want growth more than real estate agents, right? So if you're producing the same amount per year and you're not growing, then typically you outgrow the brokerage or your community, So it is a more traditional model. It is based on production. It does tier up. I do have I'm not going to go into exactly what it is. I do have a cap on what I'm willing to pay out. And if it doesn't fit the person, that's okay, because I have a proven track record of getting new agents and experienced agents to start and scale their business and sustain them as well. Start, scale, and sustain them.
So, Alan, at this point, you've come a long way in your 8 years in the real estate industry, and this is only just the beginning, I'm sure. What does the future hold for you?
Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
That's a great question. So I mean, I reserve the right to change my mind at any given time without any prior notice. But
No, this is recorded and this is final.
yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. All right, dude, go.
I've definitely bounced around. Like we're talking about whiplash here. Like we all have whiplash. We all have shiny object syndrome. I mean, when you're a real estate agent or you're in this industry, shiny object syndrome is so precedent. I see so many realtors that try to start like secondary and third sources of income because they're usually highly capable people. And they say, oh, that person's making money doing that. I can do that too. And I've experienced that as well. I mean, I just sold a liquor store that I owned. And so to answer your question, the reason why I framed my response like that is the future for me is within the verticals of real estate. And I've learned my lesson. I'm staying in the 4 verticals that I know. And that is real estate sales, that is development and acquisition, that is insurance and lending. Those are all synergetic. They all feed each other. One attracts the other. I can help build my world so big that other people can live in it and they can live prosperously in it. So the future for me is to write my book, put it out there. If people like the way, because I'm literally going to give a proven system and process that's coined that I've developed. And if it helps people grow their business, then the more brand awareness I have, then the more people that they either adopt the system on their own or they say, hey, I want more of that. I'm going to come to you. And my ambition is to not really go national or anything like that, because I realized even in a small state like Connecticut, I could be in the tri-state and really help a lot of people. I don't need to have this, EXP brokerage or anything like that. The bigger I grow, actually, sometimes as Biggie Small says, it's just making more money, more problems. So I don't know if I want all that.
Hey, okay. What's the title of your book going to be?
Oh, that's what I need Alex for, right? Because I'm not like that guy. So the process is the 6 major milestones, right? But then I have people, that's boring. Nobody wants to read about 6 major milestones. I was tooling with, I think when I was talking to Shelby last, I used to have a certified program up at the association called MORE, M-O-R-E, and it stood for Master of Real Estate, right? And so I was thinking about doing that or becoming more or something like that. But again, I don't really know. I mean, I know when Gary Keller wrote his book, he had all these names and they were all boring. And then finally, they just came up to him and they're like, you don't get to pick the title. It's called Millionaire Real Estate Agent, whether you like it or not. And it's going to be red. And he was just like, well, I don't want it to be that. This is hearsay, right? From when I was in the community. And they said to him, well, do you want to write a book or do you want to sell books? And so I don't know. Maybe it's going to, I like Master of Real Estate, but I don't know if it only pertains to real estate.
We legit told everyone on Rockstars that was the title.
Hey, listen, I didn't say this on Rockstar, but I did say here, I reserve the right to change my mind at any given time without any prior notice.
Got it. It's also your birthday is on my calendar as the same day as your book release. So I know you reserve your right to change. If it changes, I'm going to not send you a birthday gift like I'd planned.
Shelby hates me now. I just got uninvited to the 5 Pillars friggin'
oh, for sure. He's out. He's out. Let's talk more behind his back, Allie.
All right, let's go. But it seems like Alex is the ghostwriter anyway. So
yeah,
that's
Alex,
funny.
you're
We'll just
invited.
have Alex. Yeah. Where is Alex?
You can come.
Pop your head
in.
Yeah.
You just got me uninvited, dude.
Okay, Alex, we got to do our wrap-ups. So, so sorry. I know it's been the best time of your life. I know we hear that all the time.
It is. It's a great thing.
Question number 1, what is your favorite app or tool?
What is my favorite app or tool?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to just be business. It can be like Headspace or whatever.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm so boring. I'll give you the real answer and then I'll give you a different answer. The real answer is my calendar. I love my calendar app. I actually, and I genuinely mean that. The last car I bought years ago was a Tesla Model S because it was before Apple Play and my calendar appeared as soon as I got in the car and it was right there. And I remember at the time I was like, everyone wanted to sit in it. They're like, oh my God, what made you buy the car? And I would be like, it had everything from farting mechanisms in it, like to the seat. It had all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'll show you. And I'm all excited. I show them the calendar portion. And they were just like, they were so let down about it. So that's the real answer. I don't know. What do you think I spend the most time on?
No, dude, your real answer is the real answer, especially since Allie and I live on our calendars. You're with your people again.
All right,
Even
good.
you're cool-ish. We're still inviting Alex instead of you. But okay,
Alex's speak to text is my favorite software. Just
okay. Good to know. Okay.
And I would die without it. I would get a lot less done if I couldn't talk to my phone.
And second question for the wrap up, which I realized that we didn't even talk about the golden nugget. What is the golden nugget for today's episode that you are contributing for free to the audience?
What I'll contribute is a checklist for a course that I do called The Art of the Conversation. And it will give you some skill systems and strategies of how to start or continue and complete conversations so you can fill your top of funnel.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Love it. And listeners, go to theagentgoldmine.com to get access to our gold mine of all of our nuggets, including this one generously provided by Alan Stewart Jr. What is Scott? Alan Stewart Jr. Okay, whatever. Okay. Alan, our next question is, how can people help you in your business?
That's a great question. I think just being genuinely engaging with me, and if they can connect with me on social media, that'd be great. I love going back and forth with people. I love talking to other like-minded individuals that want to elevate themselves. And I do my best to comment back to people, get back to people in the DMs, and, just going back and forth, because then I'll start to see their content. I'll probably send it to the R&D department, which is the rip off and duplicate department. And that's how they can help me. So
nice. Yes. And how can people find you? What is your Instagram?
Awesome. Yeah, they can follow me on any platform at Alan Stewart Jr. It's the @ in my name, ALANSTEWARTJR. And whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, those are all the handle is the same across every platform.
That's easy.
Perfect.
Sweet. And do not get confused. There is no Scott in there. Shelby's a little drunk today. So
I'm
don't mind her.
Too much Kool-Aid.
So, Alan Stewart Jr., thank you so much. Go give him a follow if you don't already follow him. Follow us. We are the Agent Goldmine on Instagram, Allie the Agent, The Shelby Show. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Be a bro and share this show.
Thanks so much for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep all our resources for you. Till next time.